Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're going to be going over some free NBA free agency talk, and specifically today we're going to be going over the Jimmy Butler rumors that have been going around. So it has been reported that the Houston Rockets are interested in adding Jimmy Butler to their team. Now, do I think that's a good idea? Absolutely not. But let's just go over it real quick. So how the Houston Rockets want to add Jimmy Butler to their team is by doing a sign and trade. So what a sign and trade is a team will sign the player that the original team wants to sign, and then they trade different assets for the player in order to make maybe the salary cap or something work out. So in this case, the Houston Rockets wants to do a sign and trade with the Sixers. So basically the Sixers sign him for some contract that works with the Rockets and Jimmy Butler. And then in order to free up salary space, the Rockets will trade away players to the Sixers. So in this report that has surfaced recently, the Sixers would receive Clint Capella, Eric Gordon, possibly PJ Tucker, and a first-round pick for Jimmy Butler. Now, I think the sign and trade deal the Rockets are doing is just Clint Capella, Eric Gordon, and a first-round pick, and they're looking to get that first-round pick from either Capella, Gordon, or PJ Tucker. So I think the Rockets trade package to the Sixers will be for the Sixers to sign Jimmy Butler, and the Rockets will give Capella, Gordon, and a first-round pick. Now, I don't know about this at all. I don't know how I feel about this. Well, I do know how I feel about this, but I'm not really big on it. Now, first of all, I think the Sixers need to re-sign Jimmy Butler. I mean, he has been like their go-to guy in closing games, and he really seemed to thrive in the Sixers sort of system and game plan. And honestly, the Sixers are a contending team, and I think what Jimmy Butler wanted in Minnesota was to contend for a championship, and he has that in Philly. And not only does he have that, but he can be the guy as well. Now, if Jimmy Butler goes to the Rockets, I just don't see that being so good because they have to give up players like Capella and Gordon, who kind of fills out their bench. So if they give up Capella, they really don't have a solid big man. And then you're stuck with Chris Paul, James Harden, and Jimmy Butler. And honestly, the main problems of the Rockets come from the Chris Paul and James Harden, I don't know if you want to call it chemistry issue or they just can't play well with each other, And there have been a lot of rumors that have been going around that they don't like to play with each other or just, find each other irritating or whatever. I don't really buy into the irritating part, but I do buy into the fact that they can't play well with each other because they're both ball dominant players. They both need the ball in their hands to make plays and to score, and if one of them is ball dominant, obviously the other one isn't, so they're limiting each other. Now, for the Sixers, I don't think trading away Jimmy Butler for Clint Capella and Eric Gordon is such a great idea, nor is it a good value, because Eric Gordon, he's not the player that he used to be. Maybe 2 years ago when the Houston Rockets were up 3-2 against the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, yeah, maybe then Eric Gordon was pretty good, but last year he hasn't been the best. Now, I think the numbers show that he has been... The numbers have dipped a little bit, his stats, but I think it's a sign. He's 30, he's about to become 31 next year, and if you're going to have him on your team, he's going to be on there for at least 2 more years, I think. So, Gordon isn't the player he was, and I'm not really sure if he really would be well off the bench either. Now, Clint Capella, that's an interesting choice. I think if let's say this trade happens, right, and the Sixers get Eric Gordon and Clint Capella, then maybe you re-sign JJ Redick, or maybe you don't re-sign JJ Redick, and if you could find a way to sign Tobias Harris with those two players on the team, then maybe your starting lineup will be something like Ben Simmons, Eric Gordon, Tobias Harris, and Clint Capella and Embiid rounding out the backcourt. But do I think that's a good team? No, definitely not better than the team they had at the end of last year with Ben Simmons, JJ Redick, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, and Embiid. I think that's definitely the best starting lineup in the NBA, and the Sixers need to do everything to re-sign both Butler and Harris. But at the same time, so let's say this trade does go through, I don't think Eric Gordon is really a starter guy. He's a guy that comes off the bench. So regardless whether you get Eric Gordon, you need to re-sign JJ Redick for some shooting, for some offensive game. And another thing with these two Rockets players is that they're just too expensive. I mean, Capella signed a huge contract. I think he's getting paid like $18 million or something crazy like that. And Eric Gordon is also not on a cheap contract. So if the Sixers absorb this, they're basically limiting themselves in terms of their bench. Yeah, sure, they would have used that money on Jimmy Butler, but I would much rather have Jimmy Butler than, a role player and a decent center, right? But the Sixers already have a more than decent center in Embiid, definitely one of the best in the league, in fact. Let's say Butler leaves, right? Let's say he doesn't want to sign with the Sixers. I think instead of doing some weird sign and trade, they should re-sign Harris, re-sign Redick, and get another decent free agent who could really fill out the bench. The Sixers' game plan should obviously be 1, sign Jimmy Butler, then 2, get JJ Redick and Tobias Harris, try to work out those numbers, 3, fill out your bench. And honestly, the Sixers should also sign Mike Scott back, because he was a beast last year coming off the bench, especially in the playoffs. He proved himself in the playoffs, and I think he even started some games, played really good defense. Overall, I'm a big fan of Mike Scott, and the Sixers should definitely look into re-signing him, especially for the bench. So to wrap everything up, the sign and trade that the Rockets will do to the Sixers, I don't think it's a good deal for the Sixers, even if they get 2 good players and a first rounder. I mean, Clint Capella and Eric Gordon just do not value up to Jimmy Butler, and the first round pick isn't really too necessary right now for the Sixers because they are in contend mode, they're in win now mode, so they don't need to draft, first rounders. Like, they already did that. That was trust the process. They got Ben Simmons, Embiid, and they did get Markelle Fultz, but that kind of just withered away. Not really sure what happened there. I know he's with the Magic, but hopefully he gets healthy and plays well. But in terms of the Sixers, they don't need picks. So the first round pick, obviously, first of all, diminishes value. The Sixers just need to sign Jimmy Butler. Basically, bottom line, if they can't sign Jimmy Butler, get Tobias Harris back, get JJ Redick, and just try to fill out your roster. If you can get another big name free agent, which I don't think anyone is linked to the Sixers other than Jimmy Butler, then you go for that if you don't get Jimmy Butler. And on other news, the Mavericks are going to reportedly re-sign Kristaps Porzingis to a max deal, which basically means he's going to be on the team for a few years alongside Rookie of the Year winner Luka Doncic. And I think that's going to be a dangerous team coming up. And honestly, this year, Mark Cuban, or the front office of the Mavericks, they should just let them develop, and then next free agency, or the free agency after, go sign some big guys or make some trades. But I think these two alone, when they develop, they're going to be a dangerous duo, and this team will start coming up in the West. Alright guys, so leave a comment down below of what you think of this Rockets Jimmy Butler rumors going around. Do you think the sign and trade is a good deal, or do you think it's a terrible deal? Do you think it's one side better than the other, or do you think it's just not going to work out for both sides. Leave your comment down below, and I'll catch you later.